When GPT-3 came out, the difference between GPT-2 and GPT-3 was like night and day. GPT-2 was cool. And then with GPT-3, suddenly we had something where at first it was SEOs and some more templated content. But then as they evolved GPT-3, it was even other content where, hey, this actually works. This can write ad copy. This can write all sorts of things. I think we're going to see a similar evolution when we come to GPT-4, where it's going to really jump from only working in kind of a specific case to really having a lot of versatility and seeming like, oh man, like something has really changed here.
Let's do this in kind of a little fun prediction format. Is OpenAI a year from now, is it a back-end AI technology company like AWS?
Yeah, that's
or
the
is it
question.
a front-end consumer company much more like Google in terms of the business model, what people think about it, know about it? Like the average consumer doesn't really know about AWS or think about AWS, unlike Google, for example. So like, Rob, we'll kick it off with you, and then Kieran, I'd love to hear what you think is going to happen there.
Yeah, I mean, from the business model, I think we're still looking at an AWS-like company, but OpenAI has a much more public and accessible sort of preview of all the things that you can do with it. And so it's hard to make a comparison because the average person cannot upload a file to an S3 bucket successfully. Like there's so much about AWS that's just completely opaque. So I think it in a way, it's like, okay, you remember like commercials on television? I know it's been a while.
No,
you'd see like commercials for like,
I don't ever watch those anymore.
like there was commercials for things like milk, not any particular brand of milk, but milk in general. And they did that, like an alliance of milk makers would do that because it increased the market awareness and sales of all milk. And OpenAI is kind of like that, where it's creating so much buzz around AI tools that it's going to lift the entire market up. And some vendors will benefit more than others, but that's really the market itself playing out. That's the way I see it.
Kieran, back office, front office, what do you think?
I think if it hadn't done the Microsoft deal, it would have been much more profitable for it to be like a front end tool and to build its own front end tools, because it could really dominate that market. But with the Microsoft deal, it's hard for me to imagine they're going to leave ChatGPT free and actually it get much, much better in 4 and 5, because it's then kind of competing with Microsoft Bing. Like, what's the point in me going to Bing and using that tool if I can just use it without having to visit Bing? Like, no one visits Bing today, right? And so if Microsoft believed the big unlock for Bing is going to be integrated in ChatGPT, then there must be some sort of agreement not to have the competing product left for free. So I don't know.
We're thinking it's more AWS, more back end.
I think it's more AWS back end. I would like it to be front end. I think it's cool if they could build all this stuff, but I suspect that it's going to be.
I don't know that Sam
AWS.
Altman, the CEO there, actually wants to build a big front end consumer company. I don't know. I haven't seen that from his public commentary yet. So I'm tempted to go back end. The next quick prediction. When will Google's version and core competitor to ChatGPT come out?
Can I add to that? One of the most interesting things about that is, okay, how do you splice a search engine together with a chat interface? And if you think about chat, like what's the most comparable thing that exists in a search engine to ChatGPT? It's like feature snippets. I don't know if you know, you go to Google, you see the little box and it tries to give you the answer there and then. Every time that we've looked at data where search pages have feature snippets, none of the links in those pages really get any clicks if it's really good, right? The feature snippet takes all of the visibility, people get their answer, really don't need to click on those other things. And so I just wonder if you have Google, they still need the search engine because the search engine is all of the advertising space and it's the AdWords. There's never been a better product than AdWords for making money. And there's the chat interface that you can use. What I really think is chat is just an easier product for the common person, like just for everyone, the average user to use. And every time there's a product that is easier to use for the average user, it always wins. And so then people gravitate towards chat. And I just do not see AdWords and citations working in chats. And it's already been kind of proven because feature snippets have somewhat proven that. Like when the answer is given to you on the page, people don't click on the other links. And so even though it will give citations within the chat experience and it may give ads within chat experience, because it's going to do such a good job giving you the answer, why would you click on any of those things? And I think that is really to me, the most interesting part about how Bing and Google are going to try to splice these things together.
And that's what's affecting the timing of Google's real dominance and trying to be a major player.
They're kind of being
AI.
forced to build something that kills their entire business. Like, it's so interesting,
Yes,
right? Like,
their hand is getting forced, and so they have to figure out the right tests of business models to evolve that business model. It's classic innovator's dilemma problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gave everybody a few quick predictions on AI trends. I want one last before we exit. Are we gonna? This is kind of a nerdy one. Are we gonna see major like litigation, legal precedents around how we handle AI and all the source material, copyright issues? There's a lot of issues that are fraught at the center of these training models. Are we going to see anything happen in that space this year? Yes or no, you two?
I think absolutely. Although it probably won't get resolved to the point where we have some kind of standard that everyone agrees on. It's gonna work its way up the court system. And this is probably going to be a multi-year legal battle that eventually we come to some kind of consensus on whether or not your ideas belong to you.
Actually, Jason Kanakanakis, they talked about this in the All In podcast, and he had a really good point that there's a law that exists today. It was actually brought in for bloggers that if because bloggers could write about like the best recipes or the best restaurants to go to, and they could cover people, they could use Yelp, they could use all these different sources. And I think the law is like, if you're impeding that publisher's ability to earn money by citing their content, then that's really against copyright law. And like OpenAI like if you ask it for like best restaurants in Boston, New York, Dublin, it gives you all of that information, and it's giving you that information because it sucked it all in from all of those platforms that rely on that search to make money. It's actually surprising that there's not more, and maybe there's no court cases going on outside of the GitHub one, or outside of the Microsoft currently being sold and GitHub currently being sued. I think it's going to be an explosion. Like they just ignored copyright laws and give away people's content in some form for free. And so there's just no way we don't see that, because there's no way for these companies to make money if people start to gravitate towards chat.
Look, here's my perspective to close this out. Yes, we're going to see a lot of public awareness around copyright law and some legal cases, and an increase in legal cases. I don't think the core folks at OpenAI and the other AI players care. I think they're trying to take a page out of the Uber playbook, which is get our product to market, get out there, get so much adoption and so much value in the market that it can't be undone. That like it's politically unfeasible to wind back. And that's what happened with Uber versus the taxi cab lobbies, basically, right? Uber became so well used and so much preferential to the taxi cab lobbies that it just nothing could really ever happen. And I think that's what they're trying to do. I think this year is going to be a big and very interesting year for the legal ramifications.
It's not just the copyright problems with that. It actually somewhat breaks the way the internet works. Like the internet kind of works in not in totality, but
yes. People
create content. Google give you
totally.
Traffic for content. If that's broken, then it's kind of broken the way the majority of the internet has kind of gone into this partnership between publishers and aggregators. And so it's beyond the copyright, and I don't know how there has to be another way that there's a value added partnership between the people who train and create the content to train the models and the people who have the models to actually give you the answers.
Yeah, it's a question of scale that's never existed before. You could look at someone's picture and paint your own version of it one at a time in the past, and that limited you. But now you can hit a button over and over and over again and paint their picture, your version of it. And so it's like the things that we've kind of gotten away with in the past. Well, now you can do them almost in an infinite amount. So the question is, it changes the nature of it.
Well, I will leave us with this kind of little brain teaser. Maybe this is where blockchain actually comes in, everybody. Maybe we actually need a true public ledger to help handle the attribution and
you don't mind the slowest
here.
search engine of all time, having to write every single.
Well, no, but it's like, hey, I can source this original work and I can pay some royalty to that original work.
Oh, yeah, I get you.
Is what I'm saying. Is like, oh, hey, this was returned as an answer. That answer is written on the chain. This was the citation, and that you get paid the percent of
that's a good
20%
idea.
of royalties for that interaction.
Very good idea. You just have a tool.
Next time, don't say it with so much surprise, Kieran.
The OpenAI has to cite its resources, and when it picks your number on the blockchain, you get some sort of payment paid out in Do it. Someone needs to pump that coin because I'm in so much debt.
Stop pumping your bag. Get out of here. Get out of here. All right, we got to close this show down.